Hi, everybody. How you doing? Good morning to all of you around the world. It's Stock Markets with Bruce. It's Uncle Bruce here. How you doing today? Welcome to Thursday, April the 29th. Woohoo! Coming up to the end of the month here in April. Thank you for joining me again for the final hour before we open trading here for Thursday and the first couple hours of trading. Nice to see you folks again. We're watching a number of stories as usual. We just came through a serious round of financings or financials, I guess, financial reports that were released last night. We saw Facebook, we saw Apple, eBay, others. The other day we had, of course, Microsoft come out and Google come out with their numbers, or Alphabet, I guess I should say. Tonight, I believe it's Amazon tonight, and who else was there? Somebody else is coming. We're waiting for it. I heard this morning McDonald's came out with numbers; they were good, and so we're just going to follow one after the other on the markets. We've got a ton of earnings coming out right now that the street is quite eager to get and follow. As far as the futures go, the markets like what they see. We've got the Dow futures up right now 143 points with about an hour to go. S&P futures up 29 and a half. That puts both of these indexes right around new record territory. I mean, we're just about there. NASDAQ futures up 146 points. So it looks like a very good opening at the moment. Oil up $1.10 to 64.98, or sorry, yeah, 64.98 a barrel. Very interesting. Just saw a headline break. U.S. GDP rose 6.4% in the first quarter versus a 6.5% expected. This is not bad news. Very good news. The U.S. economy is recovering nicely from the pandemic lockdowns, even though the U.S. economy is not yet firing on all cylinders. That is a good sign. This is another reason why we're seeing some record earnings from some of these companies out there. The 10-year note is running at 1.66 at the moment. But the market doesn't seem to be concerned with this interest rate bump at all. It doesn't seem to really worry about it. We'll see how interest rates continue with the kind of earnings coming out, and the GDP growing like it is, the economy growing like it is. Why would the market care for the interest rate in a 10-year to be at 1.66? It just doesn't matter. The Fed yesterday, the Federal Reserve made it painfully obvious that they are not interested in increasing U.S. interest rates. They're not going to back off from an easy monetary stance, which means, in plain English, there's a lot of cash in the system. Bonds will continue to be picked up by the Fed, freeing up cash to be relent and put back into the economy. So banks will be flush with cash. They won't be in a position where a client calls them up and says, I need a loan. And the bank goes, I can't lend you any money because I have no money to lend you. There's not enough money in the system. The banks are going, we have plenty of money in the system. What do you need a loan for? And whether it's just for payroll needs or for expansion needs, there's money available. Interest rates are low, are going to stay low. In Canada, they're talking about low interest rate policy like we have now for another 2 years until 2024 in Canada, which means mortgage rates, to give you folks an idea, in the US and Europe and everywhere else. In Canada, we're looking at 5-year mortgage rates typically in the 2% neighborhood, 2 to 2.25%. So we get a 25-year mortgage with a 5-year term, 2 to 2.25%. Now, I know in the States, it's a bit higher than that, but not that much higher, around 3, I think, 3.25. I'd be curious to know if any of you would like to tell us what are the mortgage rates in Europe, for example. If you're watching me from Europe right now, welcome everybody from everywhere in the UK, from the EU, from Denmark, Netherlands, Germany, France, Belgium, Spain, Portugal, Italy. Tell me, what are your mortgage rates over there? If you're going to get a 25-year mortgage or a 20-year mortgage or 30-year mortgage, and you got a 5-year term, what would your mortgage rates be approximately in this in the U.S.? Those of you in the U.S., let me know in the U.S. What are your what are your mortgage rates? What are you kind of getting these days? What are you being offered? I'd like to know. Same thing in Australia. Anyone down there? Anyone in New Zealand tonight? Anyone in Asia? Let me know what your mortgage rates are if you have, if you know. Be kind of curious to know what the global rates really are for the real world. Here we go. We have a UK 1.39% interest rate for mortgages. NCA rate in the USA are like under 2%. In the UK, we have 1 to 1.5 mortgage 1.5% interest rates. Australia cash rate 0.5%, lowest in 40 years. Eddie 2%. Good morning, everybody. How you guys doing? Nice to see you. Oscar, Mexico 7.9 to 10%. Jersey Todd 30-year 2.7, 15-year 1.8. 2% in the USA. Mike Cage was free. Let's see. What else have we got here? 30-year mortgage, 299 from last summer in the US, 1.3 for the Bank of Scotland. This one I'm talking about. We're talking cheap mortgages. I know in Canada we've heard as low as 1.6, 1.7. I mean, on average. There's the odd special. There's the odd shocking headline, oh, we can get a mortgage for this or that. But the reality is most people are in the 1.5 to 2.5% range in Canada. And with inflation at 3%, you know what this is? It's free money. It is free money because inflation alone is higher than the mortgage to be locked in. And I don't know about you guys, but my hunch is the direction of inflation is going one way and one way only between now and 5 years from now. It'll go higher. It's not going to go to zero. I don't think so. I think inflation will go higher rather than lower, but we'll see what's going on. We just did a refi, 2.75. I thought I got a steal in the USA. And that historically is cheap money. It really is. If you didn't get a half a point better, don't worry about it. It is such an inconsequential amount of money in the big picture, because remember, you're borrowing money on real estate, and real estate is rising in value. And this is where you get the big payoff. You got the zero inflation rate interest money. You're not even paying inflation for the money you're borrowing, and your asset is rising in value faster than inflation. So there's your deal. And way to go. I live in a van down by the river, says I was thinking. So I don't know what my rate is there. USA 10-year 2.1, 30-year 3.1. UK 1.14, just fabulous. That there's no inflation that low. I mean, that is less than inflation. You're making money borrowing money. It's ridiculous. There are people out there. There are people who watch my show who ask me what to do. I have these one-on-one consultations every Saturday and Sunday. And people ask me, what do you think? Blah blah blah. Here's my situation. I'm this old. We're working. We're not working. We have kids. We don't have kids. They've grown up or whatever. What do how do we maximize what we're doing? And I've talked to some folks out there, depending on the country you live in, borrow money on your house at these rates, and throw your money into a allowable pension fund that allows you to grow your money tax free. and just throw it in there. Throw in as much as you can for yourself, your spouse, and buy something as plain Jane as IBM, and take a 4.5% yield on the stock, the dividend money, and let the capital gain take you to a higher level as well, and pay 1.5 to 3% interest on it. If that, I mean, you're paying maybe 2% interest on the outside world to gain 4% interest in a tax-free RRSP in Canada, for example, or a 401k or a Roth IRA, whatever you have in your country, wherever you are. You got to talk to your tax specialist about it. In some cases, the interest you pay on your mortgage is a write-off. Some cases, it's not. Some cases, you can arrange a line of credit with your banker where the interest rate you are paying, the interest you're paying, is actually a cost of investing. And that is a deduction, a legitimate deduction. So you're getting a deduction for the money you're paying the banker, the interest, while you're making your return tax-free inside a sheltered plan. And that is compounding the gains to you. And you think about that for like a 10-year time frame, where if you can just make an interest payment you take a second mortgage or you take a line of credit against your house equity or whatever you want to call it. If you can write the interest off 1.5 to 3% off your income and reduce your tax bill, and take a 4.5% net yield on your stock. Good move, man. That is a really good move. And over 1 year doesn't sound like much, but over 10 years, it is a ton. And it's a question of how much you can put in there. It's really can be exciting. Christian Velasquez, Christian, welcome. CV is in the house. And thank you for joining this channel as a new member. I really appreciate it. Nice to have you here. Good morning, and thank you, all of you, for coming by. Welcome, Christian. Everyone's welcoming you in there now. You get to use the emojis and hang out with us. And keep an eye on your alerts. Make sure you allow alerts to come to your phone or whatever you're using. That every once in a while I will do an update on some of the stocks we're following, or I'll have a new stock for you to watch. Members get alerts automatically first before I go to the live show for everybody else. And so make sure you become a member, and you'll be given alerts every time something new is coming up, because there's always something going on. It's unbelievable. So Bruce, you're saying that all this means I should buy more GameStop. That's right. You got to buy more GameStop. Alrighty. Interest rates are going to stay low for years. The European community, the UK, Canada, the USA, Japan, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand. I mean, all the leading G20 countries are going to continue to have a low interest rate policy, because they want cash flow to continue to move along. They want jobs created. They want people employed, because if you have people employed and busy, they haven't got time to brood at home and get upset and get frustrated with society as a whole. And it's just a better world when we're busy with what we're trying to do and build our lives and grow our families and, look after our kids and all those good things. So yes, housing prices, even in Creston, have gone up in the last year and a half dramatically. It has been really interesting to watch how around here where I live, prices have gone up at least 30 to 40% in the last year in general. There were homes in this area that used to sell in the high 200,000 range, the low 300,000 range, which for here was normal. Now we're looking in the high 300s and the mid 400s, and still cheap compared to the rest of this country. In Canada, especially Vancouver or Toronto, are two big markets where the average housing prices are well over $1 million for a detached home, well over $1 million. Here in Creston, I mean, they're so cheap. We have people who move here from the Vancouver area, and they sell their house in Vancouver for $1.2 million, pay off their banker for $400,000-$600,000 in mortgage payments, and they have $500,000-$700,000 cash. They show up in this town, and they go, "Whoa, the house we had in Vancouver, we can replace here, the exact same kind of place, for $400,000 all in. But if we want to go up to 700, we have 700,000. We want to buy $700,000 house in Creston. We got double the footage. We got a whole different kind of house than we used to have in Vancouver. And so there are folks moving into the interior of British Columbia who are retiring or semi-retiring because they have so much wealth generated from their real estate back in Vancouver. They come here, buy a house at a third the price, and they bank a bunch of cash, and they're now beginning to live off of that money along with a pension and whatever they're doing. Or they're becoming part-time workers at home, again, the gig economy, and they're living off of investments that their cash is generating for them. They're maximizing their tax-free savings and everything they can, making some part-time money as a part-time gig worker from the house, and enjoying life. And way to go, I say. Yes, that is exactly what one wants to do. Less stress, just buy GameStop. There you have it. So there you go. By the way, I was able to join on my iPhone. And Christian, I'm so glad to hear this. I know that on the top of my discussion thing over here, I've put in a link up there. I really hope it's working for you folks, because I was getting so many of you asking me, Bruce, I don't know how to join your channel. I want to become a member badly, but I can't figure this thing out. And I'm hoping this is working for you, so I'm crossing my fingers. Thank you, everybody, for considering to join this channel as a member. All right, the Dow up 150 points with about 45 minutes to go. before we start trading. It's looking like a good opening. The S&P 500 up 29 points, NASDAQ up 152. So we've got a good sign happening here. GameStop right now, 177.93 at the moment. We're on the 178 mark. We were at the 176 area. We're now 178, just under 65 cents below the close last night. There is no official news out there that I'm aware of on GameStop at this point yet. We are awaiting, obviously, major developments in GameStop, one of which, of course, is an announcement of a new CEO. We're waiting for that, and we're waiting to see what happens. All right. What else is going on here? Upgrades about different stocks. Last night we were watching, if you were with me after the close last evening, we were watching Apple and Facebook and other stocks as they were releasing their financials for their latest quarters. And Apple and Facebook hit the cover off the ball. They did extremely well. They hit home runs. Facebook shares were the big winners last night, without any doubt whatsoever. Facebook shares were absolutely the big winners last night. The shares of Facebook were up substantially. Let me take a peek here right now. What we got right now for Facebook? They're right at the moment in the pre-market. They're trading at $332.42. That's up $25 a share, or 8.2% for Facebook. They had been in this 315 range, 310, 315 range. Phenomenal numbers. They really hit some really high metrics on their earnings. There are all kinds of upgrades going on, even though the stock is right now at 332 in the pre-market. Susquehanna has raised their target from 375 to 425 for Facebook. Mizu has gone from 350 to 400. Montes, I believe it is Monez, 375 to $460 on Facebook. $460 price target on Facebook. 360 to 415 by Raymond James. So those are 4 analysts right there, 4 firms. They've all upped their price targets for Facebook shares from 400 to 415 to 425 to 460. The stock, even with a $25 gain, is at 332. And this stock has been on my favorites list now since I started it. And I think I was talking about this stock in the high 200s. And so it is firing on all cylinders. Over on Apple, there is positive numbers on Apple, phenomenally positive on Apple. Trading right now in the pre-market at $137 a share. We're sitting on 2.3 million volume in the pre-market. We had, I think, 15 plus million last night, if not more, in the post-market. 137 is where it's at right now, up 341. Not the high of the year yet, but getting closer. But price targets for Apple have been adjusted higher as well. At Wedbush, they've gone from 175 a share to 185. That's almost $50 higher than where we're trading at. Citigroup is saying 150 up to 170 now for a price target on Apple. Monez 170 to 180. And at Raymond James, from 160 to 185. So the upper targets are now 170, 180, and 185 from some of the largest firms out there. Again, Apple, you'd be looking at a $50 gain from here. Apple's been on my buy list, my favorites list all along. And I've been calling easily for the shares to reach 150 in no time. That's only $13 away. That will be new high territory. But do not be surprised by the end of the year. Between now and the end of the year, these shares will break 175, 180. And that's a $40, $50, $45 gain. So, if you have equity in your house and you're in Canada and you're allowed to put in a whack of money into your RRSP or your TFSA, you may want to consider buying something like this as a conservative investment for your retirement, depending on your age, and riding this wave or splitting this between Apple and Facebook and hanging on. Now, we did see yesterday Microsoft come out with record numbers as well, but the shares not do as well. They were under pressure. They didn't perform. They were under water a little bit. They were down about $7, $8 a share. I'm not even worried one lick about that. I would absolutely consider Microsoft as one of the big three tech giants to consider getting into. The Microsoft shares, let's see, Microsoft, MSFT, I believe is their symbol. 250, 557 right now, up $1 in the early market morning here. They were as high this year as 263, so they're $8 from their all-time high. This is hardly a sell-off. The company's trading up 37.9 times PE multiple, but going forward on forward PE, I think they're under 30. And so this is a deal. The company is firing on all kinds of cylinders, including cloud computing. Microsoft has been upgraded as well. Webbush up to 310. Mizu upgraded to 285, and JP Morgan up to 270. So even a conservative JP Morgan is $15 higher. Mizu at 285, and then Webbush 310. So do not be surprised if Microsoft continues to set new high records, high prices for their shares as time goes on. And of course, we all heard about Google the other day. Phenomenal numbers. Of course, they own and run YouTube, which I'm kind of employed by as a self-employed guy. And their targets have been raised dramatically as well, from anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 a share. And they have had a phenomenal run. The Google shares, let me see if I can get this to work like this. Google 23.79, 23.92 on the pre-market, up $12 this morning. They did touch 24.52 yesterday at one point. Right now, 23.92, and they too are firing on all cylinders. So we are watching these big companies in corporate America absolutely deliver phenomenal returns. All of these companies are pretty well going to very likely increase their stock buybacks. I know Apple, for a fact, is now dedicating $90 billion to buy their stock back, or in stock buyback programs. That's $7.5 billion a month. That is a ton of money, guys. It's just mind-numbing to think about how much money a month they're prepared to buy their own stock back, when we're talking about GameStop worth about 11, $12 billion market cap, and Apple is buying $7.5 billion a month of their own stock back. So I kind of put it in perspective. How big is Apple? It's really big. It's a really big company, and they're incredibly profitable, and they are on a real roll here. So wow, unbelievable. Brandon, thank you, Brandon Collins, for joining the channel as a member. I just see your name popping up here. Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on board, joining a bunch of us over here. There's a good group of people here that are with us. A lot of solid people from around the world, and we have. I think we're having one of the best. This is probably the best month I've had in the last month or 2 months to attract female viewers and female members. I am so excited. I'm so grateful. I'm doing my best to behave myself as a male YouTuber. It's not easy, but the gals, you are so welcome here. I'm so grateful when you join us. I also really find it gratifying when I have one-on-one sessions with my female viewers on Saturdays and Sundays, because so many of them have nowhere to go to get advice and just overall thoughts on investing, and they enjoy my perspective over 40 years of being in the business. And I'm honored that you would consider me for a 1 hour session on the weekends to help you figure out, where you're at and where you could be going. It is really great. And ladies, you just keep it going. Thank you. Welcome aboard to this YouTuber's channel. You're more than welcome to be here. We are desperately trying to run a PG rated channel at all times, and I appreciate all of you coming by and hanging out with us. Thank you, Janet. I love you too. Like I say, it's tremendous, guys. Thank you so much. Krista, great advice. It's just going up. Just buy it. There's no assurance another dip is coming. Olivia, Bruce, thank you for welcoming the ladies. Again, I don't do it often enough. I forget. If I in any way make anyone, if any of you would take exception to something I'm saying, I apologize if it's probably because I don't know any better, or it's a slip of the tongue, or it is just I am so under pressure with what's happening in the markets at all times to just update you in plain English what's going on, because there's a lot happening, and there are times where I will forget to acknowledge someone, or anything I'm doing wrong. So again, I thank you for your tolerance, your patience, your kind words, your best wishes, and I of course pass them all back to you. All my best wishes to all of you. Thank you for being here. This is tremendous. I love having you here. I'm hoping that we get news very shortly from GameStop corporately to update us on their executive search results and so on. But I will cut them all the slack they need to do what they have to do. I'm hoping they find the right candidate, and they take this company to another level, blow us away with the CEO person. And let's see who's going to be the official spokesman for the company going forward. There is so much news to be absorbed by us from the GameStop people. I am certain that Mr. Cohen has notes everywhere, stuff, the to-do list that he has, I'm sure, is a mile long. And you don't see him sitting around at a beach somewhere and relaxing. This guy is busy with his people, and I think the new board coming together and the new direction this company's headed, I think we're going to be very happy, I think, with how everything's going at GameStop. But the waiting is the hardest part. We have to hang around and stick it out. So there you go. Thanks, Uncle B. Jane, thank you. Jack, I was saying welcome to Brandon. Good morning, everybody, from Kevin. Marianne is here. Tony, good luck. Casey, I've got my coffee. Thumbs up button is hit already. Sitting on my phone books, listening to Uncle Bruce talk. Any significant with tomorrow, end of the month to pay attention to? Well, I think, really, we're just going to review where we're at and where we're headed. The world economy is poised for a major buildup or major blowout. But the world economy is also, as far as the entire planet is concerned, people are keeping an eye on India and the COVID numbers. And, we're all hoping for the case counts to drop. But we're also being mindful that we're not done yet, not by a long shot. And so we're watching everything. Cruise news, by the way. There could be some good news on the cruise front. The CDC is indicating that it is possible. It's possible. There might be sailings allowed out of the United States ports as early as July of this year. Now, my hunch is it's going to be highly restricted with respect to how many people on a ship. Percentage-wise, it might be like half only. Very high, if not complete, compliance with vaccines. That people have to be inoculated and they can prove it. So that takes the anti-vaxxers out of the cruising game. I don't know where ships will be allowed to go. I don't know how long cruises will be allowed for. The rumor is 7 days or less. There will be certain Caribbean countries that might be on the allowed list or not allowed list from U.S. ports and back. We'll have to wait for that. Certain ports may be off limits to cruise ships that begin or end their cruises in the United States. There's all kinds of stuff to still be figured out. But the rumor has it, and the indications are that maybe by July we start, and maybe by September, October we gear it up. But kids, I just have a feeling that this could be kiboshed at any time. That's kind of what I'm wondering too, that this might be, it sounds good now, but it might not last much longer. And we're going to watch this closely. Travis Cameron, welcome, Travis Cameron, new member to the channel. I think that's 3 today, 3 already. Thank you. 3 in 29 minutes. Thank you so much for becoming part of this family. Love to have you here. And again, all of you Thank you, all of you who welcome the new members as well. Like Rabbit, you guys are tremendous. Make the new members feel immediately welcome here. That's what it's all about on this channel. It's the Uncle Bruce family and hanging out with Uncle Bruce and Auntie Jen, trying to figure out what's going on in the markets in plain English.